My name is Dennis Clary. I'm one of the co-creators of VocFit.com, along with Dr. Andy Persch. We started VocFit about 9 years ago when we were both at The Ohio State University. Andy has since gone on to Colorado State University, and I'm at Indiana University in South Bend. We've also had great support and help from Project Search, an international transition program with over 620 locations worldwide. Each year they have over 6,000 interns that are getting internships and work experiences with great results leading to employment. We've been very fortunate, and this year we're able to secure a $2.2 million grant from the National Institute of Health to make VocFit even better. So VocFit is a 133-item web-based assessment. The nice thing about that is that it can change as the economy changes. So VocFit items are at 133 items currently, but can change as we get additional information. It's specifically for individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. That's when it's been tested and validated on, but other folks can use that as well. I typically am using this with people as young as 12 and as old as 64. It's a strengths-based approach with a real focus on employment skills and can be a great job matching tool. It also has exceptional telehealth and teleeducation applications. There have been 5 publications so far, so you can feel pretty good about the 133 items that we have created. You will become one of thousands who are currently using VocFit. We've had over 7,000 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities assessed, over 3,000 jobs done, and we are experiencing exponential growth. The basis of VocFit is the National Longitudinal Transition Study 2, which followed individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who had IEPs and looked to see what their outcomes were after high school. We relied on that data to find out what jobs they were working in, trace those back through the U.S. Department of Labor and ONET, which provides task analyses for most jobs in the economy. And we've also done thousands of task analysis within VocFit.com. We were able to cure that down from about 3,000 items to about 133 items. That assessment at this point takes you about 15 to 20 minutes and is divided into 11 subscales. The subscales help to organize as you're inputting the data, but also helps you as you're designing intervention and providing accommodations for students when they are on internships and eventually employment. Our scoring algorithm is basic. We have a 3-point scale, high, some, and low. We would say that an individual would have high ability if they're able to perform a certain task independently. We would say that they have low ability if they can't perform that task to a reasonable rate, even with your support. We would say they have some ability if there's somewhere in the middle, that they're inconsistent in their performance, they can do things well on times, and that at other times they have difficulty with that. So what does that look like in the real world? So again, there's 133 of these items. So for this one, to what degree does the worker demonstrate the ability to communicate face-to-face with other people? If this particular individual has low ability, they score a 0, goes to the cloud, and we begin to build their profile for all those 130 items that are within the assessment. The nice thing about VocFit is that it is a web app, which means that you don't have to download it from an app store. So you can use it on an Android, an iPhone, an iPad, any other type of internet-based device, including a computer. As you're filling this out, this is what it's going to look like, and you're going to go through and grade each person as high, some, or low. After you've inputted the data, this is what it'll look like, and it'll give you that information back. And we'll show you a couple different types of ways that we give you that information. For the one-sided assessment, when we're just looking at the individual and we're not doing any type of job matching or internship matching, we basically give you a raw percentage of each subscale. So this is an individual that has autism, and so you can see that their physical abilities, computer skills, higher and lower task abilities are all at 100%. So for each item, they can score a 0, 1, or 2. For physical abilities, the maximum score is 22, as there are 11 items within that subscale. You can see this individual, though, is having some difficulty in safety and communication skills. So as we're defining our interventions, as we're looking at accommodations, it helps to give you that type of information because when you click on each of those items, it'll show you the 9 different items in safety, for example. We do give you the information in lots of different ways so that it helps you to communicate with the rest of the members on the team. Here is one way that will show you the ability scale by subscore. Another nice feature is that you can use this tool repeatedly within the Project Search model. Project Search interns have 3 internships a year. Our recommendation is they do it once at the beginning of the year and then once after each internship. So you're able to show change over time. Another great feature of VocFit is to look at how we can use it to help with job and internship matching for individuals. Even if you don't have access to internship, VocFit comes with about 50 preloaded jobs from various aspects of the economy. So even if you don't have access to internships, you can do some strategic planning to really look and see how folks are able to fit into different types of employment opportunities. So remember, as we think about the individual, we would say they have high ability if they can perform a task alone in a room. We would say they have low ability if even if you're in there giving them support, they're not able to do it consistently, and they would have some ability if it's somewhere in the middle. For the other side of it, as we're looking at job matching, we're also interested in how well or what is the requirement for this job in terms of each of these 133 different tasks. So we would say that the task would have a high demand if the individual had to do this on a very routine basis, and you really couldn't carve it out of the job and say that they were still doing that particular job. We would say they have low if it is irrelevant and non-essential. So this might be something they don't have to do on a daily basis or a regular basis or at all. We'd say it's some if it's somewhere in the middle, that there might be some ways that we can provide some accommodations to help that person so that it isn't absolutely essential they're able to do that. So high, some, and low. So as we're assessing the job, to what degree does the job demand the ability to communicate face-to-face with other people? For this job, we would say there is some demand, scores a 1, goes to the cloud, and then we build this profile for each of these different jobs. So unlike assessing an individual who we can assess on multiple points, the job really you just assess once because we're assessing that job for how anyone would do that job, not just the particular individual that you're supporting. So what we're trying to do is to become systematic, data-driven, and analytical in terms of helping us make job matches. So for us, we have our 3-pronged system. We have the instructional prompt. To what degree does the worker demonstrate? And then for the job, to what degree does the job demand? And then there's 133 of these common item stems. The ability to communicate face-to-face with other people. And then we have our customized rating scale, high, some, and low. So let's think about what this information has and how we can use that to help support people in employment. If the ability of a worker is high and the demand of the job is high, we would say that that is a really good thing. They have good skill to do it and that job requires it, so that's a really positive thing. Let's say that the ability of the worker is low, but the demand of the job is high. We would model that as a con. Basically, that means that we need to help that person learn how to do that task. So we have to design some type of intervention to help them do that, or figure out a way to modify that job so that task isn't actually required. Then there's these other opportunities with sums, lows, and highs, and I'll show you what that looks like here on the next slide. So let's say that the ability of the person is high and the demand of the job is high. We call that a pro, and we model that as a green. Let's say that the ability of the person is high and the demands of the job is some. We call that a strength, and we model that as a lighter shade of green. So it's a different, green is good. Either way you get a green, you're in pretty good shape. But because we're strengths-based, that's why it's a slightly different color, because ideally we want to put the person in areas that they have high ability in to sort of showcase their strengths. Let's say, on the other hand, that the ability of the person has some ability to be able to do something, and the demand of the job is some. So we model that as a yellow. That means that they have some emerging skill. They're able to do a part of that job or a part of that task. But the nice thing about this particular thing is that they don't have to do it all the time. So they might not be challenged, 30 times a day to do it, but maybe 5 or 6 times a day. So it gives them the ability to practice that task, but to gain a sense of confidence and strength over time. If the ability of the person is some and the demand of the job is high, then we model that as orange. Orange is getting to be problematic. So they have some ability, but they have to do this task on an ongoing basis. They're really going to probably struggle with that. We need to design interventions so they can be successful. If the ability of the person is low and the demand of the job is high, then we model that as a red or a con. That red doesn't mean no. So if you think about a stoplight, you stop, you look both ways, you make sure there's nobody coming, and then you progress slowly. And so red means that that person really needs to develop those skills. We need to look at how we're designing intervention or how we are possibly carving part of that job or internship out. The last is if we have low and low. So the ability of the person is low, but the man of the job is low. The nice thing about our model is that of the 133 items, it falls out altogether. So the nice thing is that because we're strengths-based, even if someone's not able to do something, if we don't need to do it, then it doesn't hurt us in any way, shape, or form. I don't speak Russian, for example. My job, thankfully, doesn't require that I speak Russian, so it shouldn't count against me. So we show you this data in lots of different ways. So on the previous page was a pie chart. This is, we call it the vocational fingerprint. You'll notice that the bars are different lengths. And again, that's because when it's low, it falls out altogether. So that's why the usher job, for example, has about 70 items in it, whereas the library assistant has about 115 items that are either some or high. And again, if you like pie, and who doesn't like pie, here's a different way to show you that same data. The nice thing is that you just click on either one of those charts, and then we're going to show you what each of those yellows, reds, and greens are going to be. And I selected this one because we have a Spanish version. So on any page at the top, you just click Cambiar a Español. Ooh, that was bad, wasn't it? And then that'll show you that information in Spanish. One final word about VocFit.com. We intend it as a tool for good and not for evil. And really it's about helping people have conversations about employment and strengths and needs and designing interventions so that people can be successful. So red doesn't mean no, it means stop and think. But we think that VocFit helps you to provide some great information on for everybody sitting around that table. There will be another video on telehealth applications for VocFit later on in this series. For additional support, you can email admin@vocfit.com, or you can email me, dscleary@iu.edu. And our fabulous graduate students have a number of office hours available for you. So to go to that, you'll just go to vocfit.com and click on support, and you can even call into them, and they can Skype into your computer, and they can walk you through this process so that you can feel successful. Thank you so much for your time. I hope that you enjoy VocFit as much as we enjoy it.